Most players think that deathmatching is the most efficient way to improve your mechanics, and yet most players are doing it wrong. The thing is, deathmatching is one of the most misunderstood or underutilized techniques to get better, and it can do a lot more than most people think. If you struggle with having insane confidence and aim during deathmatch and you can't translate it into a real game, this video will solve that. With 10 years of competing professionally, I spent thousands of hours on the deathmatch server, so this comprehensive guide is a bank of knowledge to make you waste less time trying to improve incorrectly. And the best part is, this is applicable to literally all levels, starting from casuals all the way to professionals. If I ask you what is the point of deathmatch or DM, what would you say? Probably a lot of you came up with vastly different answers. Some said to improve mechanics, some said to warm up your aim before a match, maybe a few of you said to simulate real game duels or maximize the amount of duels in the shortest amount of time. Yet none of you were right or wrong. You see, the answer lies in the question, which is, why do we deathmatch? There are different types of sessions and each of them is incredibly useful. 99% of the players are stuck in just one that they do over and over again and then wonder why they're improving at a slow pace, if at all. So let's break down these types into details and talk about them, because while each of them is good for you, each one is bad for you too. You have to understand that distinction, and there will be a couple of pretty good players helping me with explanations. And we start from the most basic ones. This is the casual session where you're just having fun. You kind of zone out and just play. You run around without purpose, sometimes even without sound, just listening to your favorite playlist or a podcast. You don't really pay attention to duels you take, you just take them. Because this is incredibly low stakes environment, you don't care. If you die, you literally respawn within a second and go again. This might give you an idea that this is a waste of time, but no. Actually, it's not. I'm guilty of doing this a lot, and honestly, there are hidden benefits to playing like this. Sometimes I introduce a distraction to my gameplay that makes it impossible to play an actual competitive game, like talking to friends on Discord or listening to a podcast or YouTube video, but I still want to play CS. And let me tell you, I listen to dozens of audiobooks while just mindlessly zoning out on DM server, where I let my autopilot aim to take over. And that is not necessarily a bad thing either, because this is how I estimate my aim when I don't think about it, when it's unconscious. Because also during the game, I do not really think about how I want to aim. It just happens. This leaves more room for me to think about my decisions, how I rotate, what utility I use, and all of those things that require more brain power. So this casual session helps me because I still play CS, but the key is to do it with the right mindset. You can't expect to see improvements if this is all you do. You can't get annoyed if you die a lot. You can't estimate your own skill based on this session. For all of these, you will have to use a different method. Oh, and to stay on the topic of skill, I have to mention where to play depending on how good you are. If you're a new player, probably below 500 hours, sticking to official Valve DM is perfectly fine. Here, servers are filled with worse players, sometimes even bots, and this environment will be much better to focus on all the things we mentioned in this video. You simply won't be deleted by pro players before you get a chance to react. If you are already familiar with FACEIT at decent level, you should use community servers for better experience. The best ones, at least for Europe, where I'm based, is Cybershock or warm-up servers. Links are in the description, and this is where you will find IPs to servers with strong players and very often your favorite pro players too. And speaking about pro players, this is a pretty good segue into the sponsor of today's video. Since the start of my career, I've played in 100 different LANs, and most of them had one thing in common: the monitor. The difference between hitting shot and missing it wasn't always just raw aim. There is a reason why all pro players got used to Zoe and everyone got one for their home setup too. Now, I got this, and after a few weeks of using it, this thing is kind of nuts. The reason why I talk about it in this video about Deathmatch is how incredibly fast this game is. And that is when clarity, sharpness, and refresh rate become crucial in reacting to the enemy. You can test it yourself that when you swipe your mouse a lot to turn around, this motion blur is simply too distracting. It's hard to see the models and visually process them when the diag is turned off. I think actually Donk put it on premium if I didn't remember it wrong. If you're watching this guide, you most likely want to squeeze an edge wherever you can, and sometimes the bottleneck of your skill might be the setup you play on, but if you're not a hardcore competitive gamer, it is not the monitor you're looking for. In any case, it will definitely help you enjoy this game more, which in return will make you win more. So, a win-win situation. right? But now let's get back to the video because we have to talk about the warm-up session. So a lot of players associate DM with a warm-up, so much so that many players think it's the same word, but no, it isn't. While Deathmatch is easily the most effective way to warm up before you jump into a competitive match, there are few nuances to it and we have to talk about them. The first mistake I see players make is that they turn off the in-game sound completely and keep listening to music. Listen, the whole point of the warm-up is to take as many duels in shortest amount of time. Warm-up sessions in any case should not exceed 30-minute mark, so there is no time to waste. Without sound, you will never know if enemy is behind you or just behind the corner. I don't mean to have a volume blasted to the max listening to footsteps, not at all. Your volume should be low enough to not hear steps but high enough to hear gunshots and from which direction they're coming. This will make you predict where the next fight will be without the need to guess, and the whole flow of the session will be more efficient. Another mistake is that during this warm-up session people only play with AK and try to one-tap everyone. Please, let's make this realistic. Try out M4 too and try different shooting techniques. I have a rule that every 2 minutes or every 20 kills I change my shooting pattern and I alter between these three: tapping, bursting and spraying. No matter what duel I encounter, I stick to this pattern. So if I'm in my tapping mode and I get surprised by someone close to me, I don't panic. I know realistically I would try to spray in a real match, but my goal is to warm up, so I stick to my made up rules. Basically, this way I gamify my deathmatch session. I make it more difficult by design to really push myself out of the comfort zone of doing what I do great by default into what I struggle with. This concept will come into play in some other types of sessions, so we will come back to it. Last mistake is that in this session you shouldn't care about your stats at all. This is where the feeling of being warmed up needs to be stronger than objectively looking at numbers on the scoreboard. Sometimes I have an insane 2.5 KD, but I feel like I got lucky in a lot of moments, maybe overperformed, maybe the pool of players in the server isn't the greatest, and when I jump into the game my mechanics are still kind of stiff. But sometimes I barely break even in KD, but I feel like I stuck to my fundamentals well and won most of my 50-50 duels, and when I joined the match it showed. I was way sharper despite having poor stats by my standards. And to break a myth, when you are warming up you're not really elevating your overall skill. For that you need a bit of a different method. So let's level up and talk about what to do if you want to use Deathmatch to hone your skills. This is where most of the players watching this video sit. You play DM to improve, yet you don't see improvements. This is by far the biggest trap you can fall into. And you remember when I said every session has its pros and cons? I lied. You most likely try hard, so your mindset is probably similar to the game, but your gameplay has nothing to do with an actual game. This is the main source of inconsistency when people tell me I play so well in DM but can't hit in real match. And the worst part is you are literally few small steps away from wasting your time to extremely productive routine. So let's talk about those steps. You need to define the goals and pretend this is a real match. First of all, you need to focus on the gameplay. Turn off the music, turn on the in-game volume to like 10% of what you usually have, and let's lock in. First of all, isolate as many one-on-one duels as possible. You don't want to run into open spaces with no cover and just get swung from 4 different angles. Use natural cover, layout of the map and gun sounds to help you with this. Most common maps for DM are Mirage and Dust 2, and on these maps there are a lot of positions where you can farm 1v1 duels that are fairly realistic. So for Mirage, it's top mid boxes, under TV, CT, firebox, shadow, palace, ramp, bench on B, short or ladder room, and jungle. For Dust 2, it's tunnel stairs, B car, B backplat, mid doors, short, long somewhere around pit, and long doors. If you are not in these positions, you should aim to move towards the closest one. If you're in one of these positions, play there until you die. Again, mentality is important and ultimately you are practicing. All those deaths in the back do not matter at all and you will die hundreds of times, so don't let it annoy you. As a matter of fact, only deaths that should bother you a little bit are if you're losing majority of your 50-50 duels. Those are the only stats that you really care about. If you're getting kills on unaware enemies, most of the times that will just inflate your KD, and that is slippery slope because you might look at the score and think you're owning, but in reality you're just getting kind of lucky. Only realistic, fair, and reasonable fights matter. Period. If your score frustrates you anyway, go ahead and unbind the scoreboard. This is underrated tip that a lot of my ex-teammates had to do, and it helped them. Just go ahead and type unbind tab in console, and to bind it back in, use this command. The length of this session varies. It can be anywhere from a quick 10-minute blitz all the way to hour or even more. Some pro players, myself included, had a rule that once a week I want to do something I called marathon, and that is essentially this exact routine but extended to even 2 hours to really push myself. In reality, I was building an endurance for myself to keep being locked in, and whenever I zoned out, I quickly refocused on the game and the way I shoot. As I said, this is very extensive, so I did not allow myself to do it more often than once a week to not overplay myself, or I stopped as soon as my hand started to hurt. Oh, and I always did it after the team practice or after the face it grind. Never before, because I was often pretty tired after those marathons. So how pros do it? Well, pros are actually incredibly good at deathmatching, but often they just play on intuition. They can't really explain what they're doing, and it creates this false narrative that they're just running around and shooting. But every pro player is subconsciously practicing. They just don't know how to explain it. The best example is this video where Donk tries to give tips on how to deathmatch. He just doesn't share much, isn't very technical, so I'm about to put it into actionable tips and words that everyone can understand. Another tip is that if pro player joins your server, which is common if you use the ones we mentioned earlier in this video, you have an amazing opportunity to just hop into the spectator slot and watch him. Notice what he does, how he moves, which positions and duels he takes. A lot of stuff you learned in this video are instantly visible in their gameplay. I promise you that. And another thing I never did before my team practice or face it games is something I call an aim practice. It is basically working on your aim but on steroids, and Deathmatch can help us get a lot of valuable data. Follow this channel for some time, you know that I'm a fan of aim trainers and I use them on and off for years. But I understand that that is not for everyone, and this aim practice session can be pretty cool replacement within Counter-Strike. The whole point of this was to focus on my mechanical weakness around aim and try to correct it. And I want to show you exactly how I did this. If you're unaware of your own mistakes, you are most likely not going to notice it during the actual game. So what I did is to record myself. I tried my absolute hardest for 10 minutes on the Deathmatch server, recorded myself in OBS, and just rewatched the whole footage. I obsessively looked at every single death where I had a chance to kill an enemy and analyze why I didn't kill him. This gave me a lot of data, whether I overflick, underflick, maybe shoot too fast, or I control my recoil poorly. With this footage, I knew what I want to work on, and this became my goal for next hour or so. I went into the deathmatch and literally focused on that one thing. I did not care about anything else besides working on that one weak spot, which might have been shooting too fast before my crosshair lands on the enemy. Almost like a small panic during some fights. So I make sure to slow down and only shoot when I know I'm not going to miss. Sometimes it looks like I'm having a stroke and I play on drugs, but doing it for an hour, you quickly realize you're becoming faster, steadier, and more accurate. And what I love to do to stroke my own ego is to record myself again for 5 to 10 minutes at the end again. And trust me, if you compare these two footages, the difference is going to motivate you a lot, to the point where you won't even join DM server without clear main goal. And by the way, if you vibe with this guide and want to actually put it into practice, head over to my coffee where I do individual coaching. I do reviews or one-on-one talks, but also prepare training routine for members, which is in-depth document based on your strengths and weaknesses on how to improve mechanics. This includes warm-up and aim practice sessions, and both of these have deathmatch sessions amongst other things like workshop maps, aim trainer scenarios, and tips tailored to each of you individually. That is important. Link is down in the description. I coached more than 200 players, starting from completely new players all the way to 3000 ELO players, so I'm sure we can cook something for you. But now I have bonus chapter incoming, and yeah, it's important. At the end of the day, ask yourself a honest question. Are you playing DM just to procrastinate? No, seriously, this is a legit question. DM is fun, fast-paced, and definitely gives you that sweet dopamine hit when you get in your flow state. But if you're serious about improvement, and making it this far in the video tells me that you are, you probably know that you suppress some other habits that are considered boring or difficult. I'm talking about checking your utility on empty server, watching demos, try running strats, or watching good educational YouTube channels like mine. Deathmatch is important, but it's just one part of many that helps you becoming a complete player. Everything is good in moderation, and while I said DM is best source of improvement, actual match on Faceit or Premiere is best source of experience where you stress test every area of your skill. I've seen players that DM for 2 hours just to play one Faceit game, and that, my friends, is the wrong approach. Before we end this video, here are a few tips that didn't really fit anywhere in the video, but since this is kind of like a complete guide, I want to mention them. Try to also play Galil. This gun is probably the best rifle for the money it costs, and in real games you will have to play with it a lot if your economy is bad. But the gun itself is extremely underrated, so just a few minutes with it during every session can make huge impact in those rounds where you need to swing economy your way. Next tip, unbind crouch or even scoreboard to unlearn bad habits. It helped me a lot at certain points in my career, so I bet it will be useful for some of you too. Oh, and I want to talk about that timing of deathmatch sessions. Warm-up sessions should be done before you queue into the game. Duh. Every other session should be done at the end of your day. It's very exhausting to play for an hour with a goal or few sub-goals to focus on. You will zone out and you might just feel that the hand is getting a bit sore. That is your signal to take a break. Do not push yourself through the pain. Some players did it and it ruined their careers in the long run. So for those logged in sessions, you don't need to do it every day, but at least twice or 3 times a week is very beneficial. And if you can squeeze full hour into it, don't worry. That is ultimately just a rough ballpark. In general, just gamify your deathmatch sessions. I get it that you find it boring sometimes to die in the back for 100th time, but if that affects your mood and tilts you, honestly, it's probably not your aim that is holding you back. It's what goes in your head. This is maybe a hard pill to swallow, but as I said, I'm sharing experience through 10 years of competing and building 5 different international teams, and we got to the majors as well. I do not know a single pro player who doesn't DM or who thinks that deathmatch is just waste of time. I also do not know a single pro player that would tilt because of his score or KD. That is not what represents your skill and improvement rate. With that, I think I covered everything, but when I upload this video, probably a couple more topics will come to my mind which I forgot about. And that is where you come in clutch. So please let me know what helped you while deathmatching a lot, because ultimately this channel is about improvement, and often a lot of cool insights appear in the comment section below the video by you guys. Thank you for that and for watching this channel. If you like this video, you will also probably love this one where I go really in depth on warm-up, aim practice, and how to become a god tier aimer thanks to them. See you there. Shout out to you, all of my Patreons and Coffee members, for your continual support. It allows me to create more content like this. Your name is on the screen right now as a little token of appreciation. I used Coffee for years, where you can find extra content and perks at various tiers of membership, but due to popular demand, I set up Patreon too. Nothing changes, both platforms are treated equally, with same content, just for your convenience to use whichever side you prefer. Thank you for making my videos better and possible.